Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to decode something incredibly fascinating together. We're looking at why highly intelligent individuals so often face these really unique, deeply frustrating hurdles when it comes to love. We are diving headfirst into the intellectual paradox of modern romance. Right out of the gate, I've got to ask you, have you ever found yourself feeling just completely, utterly mentally exhausted by the modern dating scene? Like, do you constantly feel misunderstood by potential partners? Almost like you're literally speaking a totally different language? Well, listen, if that rings true for you, I really want you to know you are absolutely not alone. So the crucial point is you aren't unlucky and you certainly aren't broken. Applied behavioral psychology actually reveals that a powerful mind very often comes with some heavy struggles in the romantic world. See, your brain is simply wired for a level of depth that modern dating rarely ever provides. You aren't difficult at all, you're just operating on a completely different frequency. Okay, let's jump right into the first major hurdle we've identified from the research. Hurdle 1, the cognitive dream. Okay, let's dive into this. For most people, the early stages of dating are built almost entirely on small talk, right? But for a highly intelligent person, navigating those surface-level scripts feels like trying to run a mental marathon in quicksand. High IQ minds naturally seek depth, they want meaning, they want new ideas, not those repetitive, predictable routines. While a typical date might happily hover around, how was your day, or chatting about the weather, an intelligent mind absolutely craves abstract thinking. You want to discuss existential questions, explore complex systems, really peel back the layers of how the world works. So relegating that kind of mind to weather updates, it doesn't just feel boring, it literally feels like an exhausting chore. And there's actual real science behind this. It's called cognitive complexity. Basically, this is your brain's natural default tendency to examine absolutely every angle, every pattern, and every consequence of any given situation. You have this deep craving for layered thinking. But here's what you should really take away from this. Constantly craving that intense level of depth often leads to a profound sense of isolation in typical dating pools, where, honestly, everyone else is perfectly happy just keeping things late. Which leads us directly into our second major hurdle, the overthinking trap. Because you have higher cognitive abilities, you're naturally prone to running these constant mental simulations. So here's the analytical overthinker's dating reality. Step 1, you notice a tiny, maybe almost invisible shift in your partner's text tone. Step 2, your brain immediately starts running dozens of mental simulations of what that shift could possibly mean. Step 3, that hyperanalysis triggers immense anxiety. You end up replaying every single text message over and over in your head. For you, the simple act of just switching the brain off, that isn't just hard, it's practically impossible. And why this matters so much is that this higher cognitive ability is exactly what makes you so incredibly successful at work or in school. I mean, you spot problems before they even happen. But in love, it causes major anxiety because you detect complex warning signs and behavioral patterns that average daters completely overlook. Basically, you're seeing red flags in 4K high definition while everyone else is still stumbling around looking for their glasses. Now we hit hurdle number 3, the burden of perfection. Look, when you have a sharp mind, you clearly see how things should be done. And let's be real, that can quickly morph into some pretty harsh perfectionism. For the highly intelligent, getting average results or making just okay connections doesn't feel comforting. It feels deeply frustrating. You end up constantly comparing the mundane, everyday reality of dating against this idealized concept of a perfect partnership. And that triggers harsh inner self-criticism and a very real fear of failure when you're suddenly faced with the repetitive, messy, day-to-day work of actually building a real-world bond. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the psychology, showing that high intelligence is frequently linked directly with high internal standards. Because your standards are so incredibly high, incredibly smart individuals often stay comfortably stuck in the planning phase of relationships. Think about it. It's way safer to analyze the potential of a relationship from afar than to risk the messy, wildly imperfect reality of actually committing to it. Moving right along to our fourth hurdle, escaping validation. So this hurdle stems from a fascinating trait where intelligent people rely heavily on what's called an internal locus of evaluation. That means you judge your worth by your own internal metrics, rather than waiting around for the outside world to validate you. In the dating scene, this shows up in some really distinct ways. You simply don't crave those typical attention spikes that come with romance. You might treat your birthday like it's literally just another Tuesday. And crucially, you definitely don't need your phone screen to light up with a partner's praise just to feel like you actually matter in the world. Your self-worth is totally internally generated. But here's the unfortunate consequence of that profound independence. Because you don't require that constant validation, you can very, very easily appear cold, aloof, or detached to a romantic partner. This is especially true if you're dating someone who desperately relies on that external validation to feel secure in the relationship. They need the praise, you don't, and it just creates this massive emotional disconnect. And that disconnect gets seriously amplified by hurdle number 5, noticing every flaw. And this brilliantly illustrates the issue. Highly intelligent people are just hyper-aware. You pick up on minor inefficiencies and tiny behavioral shifts. Because you have such high self-pattern recognition, you see a partner's behavioral inconsistencies long before that partner even realizes they're being inconsistent. Your deep observation means you might call out a pattern on date 3 that most people wouldn't even notice until year 3. The consequence? Well, to the casual dater who prefers to just live life without such deep scrutiny, you simply come across as too intense. Let's look at our final psychological barrier, hurdle 6, survival independence. Now, this is a trait that resonates so deeply with highly analytical adults. Often, this incredible mental sharpness was forged super early in life as a coping mechanism. Survival independence means you developed early self-reliance. You learned, probably back in childhood, to handle your problems entirely on your own. The science here is just fascinating. If you grew up believing you were the only one you could truly rely on, then, trusting the emotional support of a romantic partner, support that your analytical brain quickly categorizes as temporary or conditional, well, that feels incredibly risky. Let's move to and see how this builds a massive wall. Survival independence makes it incredibly difficult to let yourself truly need a partner. And think about it. If you can't allow yourself to need someone, you block the exact emotional vulnerability that is absolutely required to sustain long-term love. You protect yourself so well that you accidentally lock love out entirely. But wait, this doesn't have to end in isolation. Let's talk about the solution, finding your frequency. It is time to reframe these perceived flaws into incredible strengths. Just look at this quote from the research. Your mind isn't a barrier. It's a powerful instrument that requires a specific kind of harmony. I want you to really absorb that for a second. You are not broken for wanting more than a surface-level connection. The fact that small talk drains you and inconsistency frustrates you, that isn't a character flaw. It's a sign of a complex, beautiful instrument that just needs the right sheet music. Your intelligence is absolutely not a curse. You're simply engaging in the difficult but ultimately necessary search for someone who can match your cognitive bandwidth. Finding someone who loves the deep dive just as much as you do, yeah, it takes time. But when you finally find that harmony, the connection is absolutely profound. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. How does your hidden psychology shape your world and, more importantly, your relationships? Understanding exactly how your brain is wired is the very first step to finding the love you actually deserve. If you want to keep exploring fascinating topics like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button to join our Explainer series. We are dedicated to continually decoding the human mind. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and hey, keep exploring that incredible mind of yours.